All right, so we're diving into this 100 books every man should read list.
Hmm.
And right off the bat, I'm intrigued. This isn't just like a read these classics and you're good kind of thing.
No, not at all. It's way more nuanced than that.
It feels like they're pushing for something bigger here.
It's about expanding your horizons,
Yeah.
like really getting you thinking differently.
Yeah, and maybe even becoming a different kind of man along the way.
Mm.
So what I'm hoping we can dig into is, what are those hidden gems on this list?
Oh, absolutely.
The ones that'll make people go, man, why haven't I read that yet? But then also, what does this whole list say about the kind of life it's pointing toward?
Right. What's the bigger message they're trying to send?
Exactly.
Well, one thing that jumps out at me is how it goes beyond just straight up entertainment.
Interesting.
It's not just about escaping into a good story, although don't get me wrong, there's a ton of that too.
Yeah, got to have those page turners.
But this list, it's also about arming you with knowledge, a kind of cultural fluency.
Ooh, I like that. Cultural fluency. It's like you're suddenly speaking the language.
Precisely. And that language, it helps you understand history, philosophy, even stuff like the ethics of war,
Yeah.
things that resonate across time.
Except at that aha moment when you can finally keep up with the conversation that used to go right over your head.
100%. Imagine you're at a dinner party, right? And someone drops a reference to Plato's Republic.
Ooh, getting fancy.
Instead of just nodding along, you can actually jump in, make those connections to modern politics or ethics. That's the cool part. This list, it gives you the tools to really engage with the world around you.
Okay, but let me ask you about a specific one here, because Roman Honor by Carlin Barton.
Yeah.
That's not your typical book club pick. What's the deal with that one?
See, that's what makes this list so fascinating. It challenges those preconceived notions of what a manly reading list even is.
It's not afraid to go there.
It-
It's like they're saying, sure, read the bestsellers. Everyone's talking about them. But if you want to get a deeper understanding, you got to dig a little deeper.
100%. It's about pushing yourself to become more well-rounded,
Yeah, more than just checking boxes.
more thoughtful. This list, it's not about fitting some mold. It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience.
And speaking of embracing a spectrum, this list definitely doesn't shy away from adventure.
No kidding.
I mean, Call of the Wild, King Solomon's Mines,
Yeah.
those just scream adventure.
Classics.
But then they hit you with Dostoevsky's brothers, Karamazov.
A bit of a shift, yeah.
It's like they're saying, go ahead, climb that mountain, sail that sea, but don't forget to take a look inward while you're at it.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance between action and reflection, something that, honestly, I think gets lost sometimes in today's world.
For sure.
Like, this list is saying a truly fulfilling life needs both. The courage to face challenges, but also the wisdom to really learn from those experiences.
And that really resonates with you, doesn't it? Like, you strike me as someone who loves a good adventure,
Oh, absolutely.
but you also seem to really search for that deeper meaning behind it all.
Yeah, definitely.
And this list, it's like it's encouraging you to embrace both sides.
For sure.
And it's not just about, like, sprinkling in a few classics alongside the adventure stuff. It's more intentional than that.
Way more.
It's like they handpick these books to give a specific perspective, even within the classics themselves.
Totally agree.
Like you've got your Hemingway, your Fitzgerald, your Twain, all brilliant, no doubt.
Oh, for sure.
But then they throw in the first edition Boy Scout Handbook.
Right. And talk about a curveball.
Who knew that was a literary goldmine?
And that's where the people putting this list together, that's where their expertise shines. They're not just recommending famous books. They're highlighting the works that make you see the world through a different lens. Like that Boy Scout Handbook. It's not just about tying knots, right? It gives you this window into a time when practical skills and building character went hand in hand.
It's like they're giving you a secret handshake, like, hey, you've read this. You're one of us.
Yeah, exactly. It's about cultivating that deeper knowledge. It sets you apart, lets you engage with ideas in a more meaningful way. And that depth, it goes beyond just like personal growth too. Remember how we were talking about contributing to the great conversation?
Oh, right. Yeah, that phrase really stuck with me. But I got to admit, I'm still wrapping my head around it. What does that even mean, to be part of this great conversation?
Well, it's kind of like this. Think of all these books, not just as individual stories, but as threads in this giant tapestry of human thought, These ideas have been debated for ages across cultures, continents. Reading these books, it's like you're taking your seat at that table, finally ready to join in.
I like that visual, man. Suddenly, I'm not just a reader, I'm a participant. Okay, but got to be honest, when I see titles like Band of Brothers All Quiet on the Western Front, even Gates of Fire, which is fiction, but still,
Yeah.
that's a lot of war for one list.
Yeah, it's true. War and conflict are definitely recurring themes, but I think we need to dig a little deeper here. It's not about glorifying violence. These stories, they explore those extremes of human experience. The courage, the resilience that come out in the face of unimaginable stuff. That's what the list wants you to connect with.
It's about acknowledging the sacrifices that were made, right?
Yeah.
Like the things we take for granted now.
Exactly. And honestly, I think it's also about confronting our own mortality, which is something we tend to avoid these days. These stories, they remind us that life is precious, fragile even, and we should be living it with purpose.
That's powerful stuff. So it's not just about remembering those sacrifices, but actually honoring them with action, with
Yeah.
how we choose to live our lives.
Exactly. We take those lessons, apply them to our own lives, try to be a little braver, a little more compassionate.
So we're talking about expanding our minds, facing our fears, tackling those big life questions. But I'm guessing some people might be thinking, okay, sounds great, but how does this translate to my everyday life? What's the practical application here?
Oh, that's fair. It's a question everyone's got to ask. And for me, it boils down to this. What kind of life do you want to live? This list, with all its action and reflection, its wide range of knowledge, it's pointing to a life lived on purpose. It's about being that person who can handle whatever life throws at them, someone others can count on.
It's like a blueprint, not just for being a man, but for being an exceptional human, period.
Exactly. It's about striving to be your best self, someone who can truly make a difference. And that journey, that evolution, it's just as important as the destination.
It's like they took all these tools, all these insights, packed them into these 100 books, and each one is like a stepping stone on your path to becoming a better you. And the cool thing is, it's never too late to start, right?
Never too late. I don't care if you're just starting to think about these big ideas or if you've been a bookworm your whole life, there's always something new waiting in those pages. It's all about embracing that journey of learning and growing no matter where you are on the path.
You've definitely got my wheels turning, and we're ready to add a few of these to my own list. And for anyone listening who feels the same, we'll make sure to link to the full list from The Art of Manliness in the show notes. Do yourself a favor and check it out.
Such a great resource. And honestly, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Think of this list as a jumping off point. What speaks to you? What piques your curiosity? Let those questions be your guide, lead you to your own contributions to that great conversation.
Because that's what it's all about, right? Taking those ideas, those lessons learned, and weaving them into your own life, your own story.
Yeah.
That's how we keep the conversation going.
100%. It's about being a more engaged person, a better friend, a more thoughtful human being. That's the legacy of these books. And it's an amazing thing to be a part of. One page, one thought, one action at a time.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, that wraps up our deep dive into the 100 books every man should read. But like we were saying, this is just the beginning. Keep those conversations going, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep reading.